Welcome to my workshop, part of my show at the Tiny Cat Gallery. I'll start off by showing you some of the materials I use. I always have to have a pair of scissors to hand because I love chopping up my art. And then I've got to glue it all back together again, so I've got some glue. I also have some brushes, thin one and a fat one. You don't have to have the fat one. Pencil, some crayons. These are actually oil pastels, which I like because they're quite buttery, but you could use any crayons. I've then got a box of watercolours that's not very clean, but it's fine. I'm quite happy to use them. And of course some jars with water. I've also got a picture which I took while I was camping. I didn't have time to print it out because we only just arrived back home last night, and I love the colour of the sky and the shapes of the tent in the foreground, and I thought for an abstract shorescape with some tents in the foreground would look quite nice. So this is what I'll be using to start off, to give me a bit of inspiration. You could use anything. You could use the same picture if you like. Any picture you've taken of the sea, the sky, but it's just because it was so hot, the clouds were so pink at sunset. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is basically wet my canvas. It's not a canvas. It's a canvas. So first thing I'm going to do is draw some lines with my pencil that I have, and it's just basically taking the shapes that I see in the picture. I've got the hill, I've got some triangles, I've got some funny shapes of tents, and I've also got some sky. I could also bring in some of the oil pastels at this stage, because what happens is when I put the watercolour, it resists, the oil pastel resists it, and so it doesn't mix, and I get quite a nice effect. So I might just do some scribbles in the sky and maybe the foreground as well. Doesn't matter if it's not supposed to look exactly like the picture, it's just the picture is only there for inspiration, really. And then I'm going to get my watercolors and just show you what I'm doing. I thought maybe I'll get some of the purple. It's quite loose, quite a lot of water. You can see my water is quite, and I'm just going to just let it, can you see what's happened there? I put the water on the oil pastel and it's just pushed it away. It's been pushed away. It's quite lovely. A bit of yellow because you've got some sunsets. Now, because I use a lot of water on my work, I do need to wait for the water to dry. And this is quite an interesting effect I'm getting because of the oil pastels that I started off with. You can see, if I close up, you can see where the lines haven't absorbed the water. Now I've got the tents in the foreground. I could then get some more oil pastels, different colour, and maybe I can make a shape with that. The tents are white, but I'm not too bothered about the colours of the tents. I'm making them pink and orange and yellow, and then introducing, oh look at that colour, just some nice shapes. Now I can go back to my sky, and I'm going to get some blue off my palette. this stage I'm not even looking at the picture, I'm just going with the flow, and I am just seeing how the colours and the paints and the textures interact with each other. You can see I love what's happening here with the purple and the blues. Maybe do this box here. No. And that's just a very quick initial attempt. A lot of the times I'll be working on more than one at the same time to give time for the paint to dry. And once I get into the flow, certain shapes emerge. I'm going to go back to the purple, get more purple, get some deep purple in this section. I quite like what's happening here. I might then just put some water so that I've picked the paper up. At this stage, it might be that part of the painting I like and sections start to emerge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get a frame and just have a look at different parts of my painting. And if you look at this here, I really like what's happened with the paints and the colours here. And I've got the oil pastel, I've got the pencil showing through. I also quite like the deep colours of this one. I think this one's quite interesting, because I've also like how the white of the paper is coming through between the paints. But even this looks like an interesting composition. So now's the difficult part, because I have to decide where I'm going to go next. It might be that I quite like the shapes in the foreground. I think I'm going to do that. I think this is quite successful. So I'm just going to draw a line randomly here, and I'm going to cut this piece off. I'll just work with this piece for now. I'm going to leave, I think this is still quite successful, but I will put it aside to dry. And then I think I'm going to just decide where my beginning and the borders of my painting. I quite like that as well, which means I can then cut off some of the bottom bit, which I quite like the colour of, so I want to introduce back into the painting. So I'm going to take a bit off this here, this section. Because it still works. Yep. This is my... Now, do I like this or do I like that? It's very difficult to make any decisions when it comes to this part of my process, because I like everything. Now, I want to then include some of this colour, and I think I'm going to turn them into strips, just because I think that's what's going to work. It's all quite intuitive, and there's no formula, and I think I'm going to stick that there. I'm sorry I'm being a bit quiet, it's just because I need to focus and get a feel. I feel the painting, I feel the colours, and it's what these colours do that guide me as to what to do next. And I'm going to do these two squares like that. Yes, this is perfect. So I then have to add these bits. So I'm going to glue these bits. Oops. Oh dear, it's too much glue. Put it here. And I'm going to put that piece there. And there you have it. A shorescape based on my camping trip.